Welcome to Don't Take My Truth Personal. I'm your cosmic narrator, Omnanki Akasha, your urban shaman, your friendly rainbow bridge builder, your eternal empathetic carrier of divine light. And I got two very special, unique, divinely, beautifully blessed souls of truth, natural expressions. I got my beautiful queen, the empress, the goddess of truth, Kara J. Round of applause, everyone. I need to get that drop, right? I need that real drop, but we going to harmonize with her real quick. Just send her some love and light, send her some blessings. She's sending blessings to you guys. Yes. And we got my brother. This guy's a king and master of words, master of expression, divine light, and I look forward to him healing on this podcast right now. I love when he comes to truth in essence in the moment, and I look forward to these conversations. Beard is getting longer and stronger. Cito Blanquito.
That's a fact, man. We in the building, man.
Can we get a round of applause and some snaps?
Vibes, you know what I'm saying? I'm the captain of my soul, and ain't no crunches in this bowl.
This nigga had it ready. Goddamn, captain of my soul.
Ain't no crunches in the bowl.
And as always, we moving different in 2021 because when we come together, we align and we one breath. This unified consciousness is here, and we're not playing from all walks of life. It don't matter if you think you spiritual or not. We all have the opportunity to breathe. So let's just take 3 deep breaths in together. Deep breath in, guys. Hold on to that joy. Exhale. And if you're at home, breathing some joy with us. Exhale down into your feet. Breathe in, unifying that collective mind. Exhale down. 2021 updates, Aquarian updates. How are y'all vibrating? How are y'all emotions? What's the update, man? How y'all feeling?
Party aguan. Things them there. Life is beautiful.
Yeah. Kara posted a video of our last podcast last year. Check any of our pages or check iTunes, Spotify, wherever. Go listen to it. But it was just interesting, like how long ago that felt, but how close it felt too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
time is flying.
Like how's time changing during the quarantine? Does it feel the same to y'all? Time feels different to me. This last year has not felt the same as any time in my life.
Yeah. I don't even notice hours, days, or anything anymore.
Yeah,
it's just pretty much sunrise and sunset like our ancestors.
Oh, we back in our natural rhythms.
Right.
On nomadic
we don't even do clocks anymore.
That's a fact. My whole life I always heard that they say time is an illusion, and COVID made me realize the truth of that. Like for a period of time, every day felt like a Friday. And it was wild because I was just in a certain space in my life of just turning up.
What does Friday represent for us though? So that's the thing, right? You say every day feel like Friday, but what does Friday represent for you? Like what has Friday always been?
Friday's always been a just got paid, you know what I'm saying? Friday night. But it's also been a party moment, a joyous moment, that day of the week that a lot of our truest intentions and freedoms come out. Now, those freedoms may be or aligned in different energies. Sometimes it could be like a splurging freedom. Sometimes an accountability freedom. Sometimes it's a sexual freedom.
Accountability free.
Nah, 100%. So it was just that. There's no segue. I got a song on a project called Every Day is Friday.
That's dope.
So it's connecting to that, coming soon on all platforms.
That sounds like truth, right? Like every day is Friday, meaning you really want to be joyous and fun and expressive and have fun every day.
See, for me, every day is Sunday. I always just want to relax and tap in and be calm. And be always preparing for the next state of calmness. Sundays is, you clean your house, you light your candles, you cut your music on. Like, it's always Sunday around me. Like, settle down, get zen.
What's your Sunday song? Like, what's the song that give you Sunday vibes?
Sunday Morning by Maroon 5.
How does it go?
Morning rain is falling.
Oh, I heard that in H&M before.
Non-colonizer song.
Non-colonizer song? There's Hope by India Ari.
Okay.
How does that go?
There's hope. It doesn't cost a thing to smile.
Hey.
You don't have to pay to laugh.
Hey.
You better thank God for that.
Hey.
It's just like a song about gratitude. So I play that on Sundays with my daughter. Back when I had a little, I thought that I needed a lot. India is a genius.
Nah,
so
she is.
That song, There's Hope, you cannot be ungrateful after you listen to that. You just really tap in and realize what's important. And it's your hope and your laughter and your family and God. So you play that on your Sundays, you're going to be turned.
Nah, that's vibes. I think it's important to have those soundtracks to life.
Was there anything in the beginning of the pandemic that y'all started with that was important that's no longer important, like right now?
That's a heavy question.
You could go. Yeah, that's all you, Kira.
Oh shit.
Set the tone.
My schedule.
Okay.
In the beginning of the pandemic, I was just like booked and busy. I was doing shows. I was touring. I was working in schools. I was doing this. I was doing that. When I had to check out to mentally be there for my daughter, and they're like, Kara J, can we book you for? Nope. Can you come to? Nope. My baby needs me right now. None of that matters. None of the productivity matters. None of the shows matter. When your loved ones really need you to be with tapped them in. All in, tapped in. Yeah. And because I'm like a mom, it's not like me being there for a cousin. When you got to be there for your whole human being, I really had to realize that none of that shit matters when it comes to my daughter's sanity. Like,
that's beautiful. No, that's interesting. You brought that up. One of the topics, you always tapping into topics before I tell you guys. Something that I realized at the very beginning was that the emotional sovereignty of children was not going to be developed with the lack of social interactions that was going to be happening. Immediately when I saw a sign that said social distancing, I was like, what is that going to do to the development of the emotions of children? So when you say you had to tap back into her sanity, what were some of the things she was experiencing? And what did you notice? Like, because some people don't have the awareness that you have when they're, focusing on their kids. So I always look for you, as guidance, being that I don't have any children yet, but I'm preparing.
So I really noticed what people would look at as behavioral issues. I looked at as, just the lack of communication and contact. So she would be throwing more tantrums, and when she would have company, she would be more short with them and less willing to deal with them, and just a whole shift in her natural bubbly nature. Like my daughter, her joy. So before the pandemic, she's I want to play with my cousins and my friends and da-da-da-da-da. And then like a year into this now, she's getting angry at everyone and she's rah-rah and crying and yelling. And I was just like, oh no, we got to figure out how to help heal this. You have to. So she did start back school today. It was her first day back.
She need the connection.
She's back to connecting with other human beings. I'm like, we can't sit in that fear. Because it's more scary to lose your child's sanity than
that's important.
Like I can't lock you in this house no more because I'm scared. Like she needs other people,
That's a real feeling.
It is. It's so scary because whether it's real or it's fake, it's something. Yeah. Whether it's government produced or it's natural, it's something. It's something that they did.
There you go, right? So here's the stuff I be getting blocked for. So here's my theory, right? And this is only a theory, right? So my whole thing was that they're trying to block our genes this year, and they was going to do everything to stop our genes from expressing ourselves. You need to be in a state of joy, happiness, and love in order to be healthy. Literally, that's part of the health production. So if they could stop those things, it would stop our genes from absorbing everything we could be receiving this year. And for kids, the direct thing that I noticed that they're trying to stop them from is developing the genes that involve empathy. And discernment, and that is affecting their emotions. And by not having social interactions where they can learn to develop and exercise the emotional processors, they don't develop discernment. That's why you playing video games and they don't understand the difference between death and real life, or they don't know how to love or like, or like it's confusing. They don't understand their gender. Come on, like they're missing these specific interactions, and putting them in front of a screen. It's like those old movies, like Total Recall. Like, you just putting somebody in front of a screen.
But the thing about it is, like, it's the full definition of brainwashing because their subconscious and conscious mind hasn't necessarily like separated to that extent yet.
Hasn't
developed
prefrontal
yet.
cortex.
So now to them, that is as real as it can be. And because they don't see anything else around them, they're digesting those emotions and feelings of how to like deal with something in society by themselves. I think the most thing we learn when we're kids is by what we see. A lot of stuff we learn by action. So when you take away actions from children, the only thing they get to learn from is their behavior and what they see. And that's a very scary space to be in, especially with this pandemic.
More diabolical.
Yeah.
The same part that you talk about is the prefrontal cortex that develops when you're young. Also, the part of the brain, it's some part of the brain that develops from using your imagination is also not being used because they're giving them all the images to think about. We used to have to like create from nothing, and that develops part of your brain and imagination. Most adults don't grow new neurons because they don't use their imagination.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I noticed that kids, this generation of kids, they they stopped playing, right? So my daughter, she's only allowed a little bit of iPad time, and then she has to go to her Play-Doh, and she has to go to her has to go to her building blocks
because it's important.
It's important for you to know how to make things. You want to see a giraffe? You're not gonna get on a tablet and draw a giraffe. You're gonna go and make a giraffe out of the Play-Doh and build it. Like it is very important to, like you said, go from scratch to creation. Because if you take away the imagination, then we got a bunch of robots. We got a bunch of programmed people.
That's the right side of your brain.
But that's the objective. I think the objective is to have a bunch of robots.
Oh,
yes. Like, I said that shit. I was like, you can't stand alone without a phone. That's why I call you a clone. Like so many of us are in spaces where
Moles and clones over and over
we just don't know how to connect to anything anymore. And it's like, I was on Clubhouse and I had to get off because I felt like, yo, my God, if there ever was a Matrix, this felt like it. And I'm not knocking Clubhouse. It's a great platform and amazing things to happen. But if your mind frame isn't in the right space, you can realize and get in a whole different illusion. Like.
Yeah, I like that word, right?
It's it's a whole
it's a whole reality,
and that's the honest truth in this bug because the people that are, when they changed the algorithm, I started seeing people again like, oh my God, I forgot you existed. And the fact that Instagram can change if somebody's important to me or not in my brain based on the algorithm started to scare me of like, yo, how brainwashed are you?
How much does any of this matter?
Yeah, like how lost are you? That person's a person. Not a page, not a picture, not a like, not a comment. It's a person. And then when we start to lose that because we're only seeing it through the lens of what the reality or what the reality we created is, that should start to bug me.
How do we uncreate it? We created that though. When we created that reality, like, so, all right, I always like to bring it back to like the laws of the universe so we can understand those, but then bring them back down here and really manifest them. And so the way that works is, we have to all invest in something mentally for the reality to exist. Cryptocurrency doesn't exist unless we all believe in it. The dollar doesn't exist unless we all invest in it. And it's the same thing with social media. So how do we uncreate that paradigm? Creative minds. I'm challenging you.
In my opinion, I think the way that I try to undo it is transparency on social media.
Beautiful.
Because I'm in this space of this whole public figure generation. And then when I started to gain popularity, people kept telling me, oh, you need to look a certain way. Oh, you need to talk about a certain thing because this is what's popular and this is going to take you from A to Z. And I was like, do I want to be a figure?
Let's hold it.
It's crazy how they can almost remove somebody or take them out of your whole like space of life by like changing them out of an algorithm. And you have to realize that like for a long period of time, we see a community and we see people as likes, as pictures, as comments. When in all reality, like they're human beings. And we don't realize that we see them in this matrix until that you may see that person on the street and be like, oh shit, you exist, but I haven't seen you on my page. Yeah. It's kind of like when somebody disappears and comes back, you're like, oh wow, like you back. Like no, they never didn't go anywhere. And the fact that we see life through all these different lenses, like I feel like it's like a Facebook world, an Instagram world, a Clubhouse world. And like your Clubhouse made me feel like I was in the Matrix and I was just like, I bang with this platform, but I have to escape from my sanity because I can't hear this many different conversations and energies and people in different places at one time. Like it feels like a glitch of like, no, we're not supposed to be this. Like places have frequencies, people have frequencies, apps have frequencies.
So I bring that back to like the laws of the universe, and you're accurate. You know, like the collective mind needs to agree on something for that reality to exist. So once we invest our attention into something, it exists, such as like, you know, money or cryptocurrency. Once our mind, it unifies. But the realities we created on Instagram exist because that's what we created over the last 8 years, and our minds agree to it. So like, how can we uncreate it? And you spoke to
transparency. I think that as long as you remain yourself when you log on and not try to put up a front. If you notice on my platform, it's just an insight to real life, which is so strange to people. They tell me, oh, you're so different. And it's like, I'm not. I'm just like you, but I just show me online. You know, whether it's a bad hair day, whether it's no makeup, whether it's weight gain, weight loss. So many people told me when I first started my platform that I wasn't going to be able to be successful unless I conformed. Unless you get the lace fronts all the time and the makeup all the time and the body done or this or that and the dress to fly. And
you went bald.
I did. Because I rebel the whole idea of you needing to be a certain way.
The amount of fucks Kira got, like...
It made me think about things different. I was like, damn, when I get head from a bald head, Jack?
Yeah.
Did you get head from a bald head?
I'm not gonna lie, it fucks with you at first. It fucks with you. I remember the very first time I did it, because this is my second time going bald, so this isn't like a huge thing for me because I've already been bald.
Did he palm your shit?
The first,
did he like finger like
the first time I gave him head, my dude I was with at the time, the first time I went bald, it was so uncomfortable for him. I could tell because it was just like.
You didn't throw the wig on just for fun? Like I got you.
I didn't. The first time I went bald, I didn't even own wigs. I was not playing. It was full bald. I didn't even own a single wig at the time.
You couldn't throw the scarf. The scarf at least make it.
It was just
scarf
straight
head is fire.
baldy.
Scarf head is fire.
You scared of the baldy, cito?
Yo, I'm not scared of the baldy. It's just that
I'm scared of the baldy.
I'm not talking about the conversation because I feel like it's a conflict of interest. I'm not talking about it.
Oh,
I feel like it's a conflict of interest.
yikes!
But I you know what I'm saying? It's a conflict of interest. But
picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. But head is fire though. You know what I'm saying? Head is fire.
Yeah, but we create these different paradigms and these different realities. I think that transparency is super important. Something that I think about is like, why am I emitting this frequency? Or why am I posting this? I always ask myself before I post it. Like,
Now you're saying before you get caught in just the let me post something. One thing I could say to change it that I have to do is touch things. Like I have to touch nature. I have to go outside. Like I have to breathe air. Like I have to like even just like the concept of like when DoorDash kept coming to Uber Eats, like when everything was just being delivered to the house, I was just like, nah, this is scary for me. Because like now, like that's a different world. Now like Instagram's a different world. Before you know it, you're in your house and everything you want is coming to you. And then you realize that like even though going to work may be annoying, like seeing that person that may give somebody $1 makes you look at life differently. Like walking up the steps and then going on the train and hearing a new song looks at somebody differently.
Depending on your lens, though. So, like, getting back, he mentioned about the hemispheres of the brain. Yeah. And I'm glad that we're getting into this stuff because the way they make you in school is they make you left-brained. Left brain is the masculine side, and it's more of an analytical mind. And they only develop that one. The right brain is more creative more intuition and connected to your heart, the left side of your body. So, give you an example. They'll have you write in an MLL format where they tell you don't put your opinion, only cite a source. So you don't actually offer your opinion.
you just copy and paste what everybody else did.
Yeah, so you start
to think like that.
So get back to remote learning. So this is what I saw in the beginning. I was like, holy shit. It was a question, and they give them 4 different answers. So the boy I was helping, he said, I don't like any of these answers. And his mother said, pick the one that you think they think is right. So he was like, all right, this is the closest one, but I don't really agree with it. And the answer was like some like aloof ass answer. It wasn't really like direct and straightforward, but it was making him choose that answer. So you become acquiescent with the development in school. So like, what do y'all feel about that? What do y'all think about carrying that?
That shit's got me tight. That shit's got me mad fucking tight right now. Cause it's like they keep on forcing you to be like, all right, they never give you your answer or give you the clarity to have what you want.
Or false.
I think that.
And then now you're forced to just, for the rest of your life, you just keep doing what's the less of the evils.
Unless you develop that other side of your brain.
What burns the test and walks out?
Nah, but developing the other side of the brain, what he was talking about, like reason why we think that we have to be right-handed, but like I said, the right side of the body is connected to the left side of the brain. So we're right hand dominant. So when you develop the other side, you become ambidextrous. So some techniques, start opening the door with your left hand.
And it starts.
So what do you think that it means that I can't do anything with my right hand? Like, am I stupid? I'm a left-handed. I'm left-handed.
Oh, so
and I can't like write.
That would explain everything.
I can't do much with this hand. It's like just purely ornamental. Like I can use my right hand if I'm using both. But if I have to use it by itself, it's useless. I can't even barely like.
You just saying you.
Do I not have analytical things?
No, you a free creative motherfucker. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, you right brain dominant, and I would explain why you write books. You tapped into your creative expression very early on because you highly developed right brain. You're very intuitive. I told you be thinking you're not spiritual, but you be talking like some motherfucking truth, like the God is within you.
Just tapped in.
You tapped into your intuition. But with
I
that
want
being
to write with
said,
both of them.
well, how about you start developing that other one?
Okay.
You know,
'Cause
start
you can
leading
work
with
on
your
it all
right
times,
hand.
yeah.
Okay.
Start building things with your hands. You know,
Okay.
get into some grounding exercises and it'll start training the brain. Just start leading with your right hand, like just picking something up and leading your right eye with it.
It's funny with the left hand because that happens. Like I remember I started like I dribble my left hand, I lay it with my left hand better than my right. Like certain aspects, I like the left side better than the right side, and it makes you wonder like why that is though. But that's very interesting.
Yeah, and I got something, Kira, that you don't even know about men. Cito, you never switched it up with the hand one time when you
All right, I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't want to bring that shit up, but that's some real shit though. Like yo, all right,
It's a different type of.
it's two different
So
experiences. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Really?
It's two different experiences.
It's a
It really is.
different type of woman.
It is though. It really is though. I wonder, but women, do y'all? Does it matter left side, right side, or just fingers is fingers?
I haven't even thought about it before just now. Now I'm trying to figure out. Like, wait a minute. Now I'm about to go research.
Nah, but we gotta. I encourage developing both sides.
Nah,
of our
that's important.
hemispheres.
It is important.
Yeah,
It's funny because I
definitely
write with
gotta
my left.
develop
I write with my right,
the left side.
but I do everything else with my left. Like when I really think about it, like even I hold a mic with my left hand. Like basketball, dribble with the left hand. Only time I use my right hand is to write. Everything else I really do with my left hand. But I don't feel like I'm ambidextrous though, which sounds crazy
That
saying
kind
that.
of is though. Like
Yeah,
that's like
like-
a.
Right side is also drawing.
Okay,
Art. So when you close your eyes, you
And
can
then-
be able to really see
with the right. Okay.
side of the brain.
And like, how do you feel like having a daughter with all of this like these new transhumanism like laws, like with like they even made a law in like California where they said they're gonna like stop having a boys and a girls kids section in the
I think that as long
mom.
as you're conscious at home, nothing that happens outside your house is going to affect your kids. The problem with all of these things that go on in society is that these parents aren't setting a foundation at home. Like I said, I grew up in the 90s. The 90s was very much a time of gangster rap and suck this and do that in the music and the TV and the shows. But I had a black father at home who was keeping me into Minister Farrakhan and keeping my conscious levels into open thinking. So the education don't start in these schools. People have to be parenting at home. So I'm not scared about none of these new laws and trends and gender identities because I'm in charge of her development. And if I'm grounded with her and I'm letting her know when you walk out this house, you're going to see a lot of bullshit. But don't forget that you're essentially walking into some bullshit. It's the Matrix out there. We can't control this world. We control the real. And the parents that's children are getting caught up in it is because y'all letting social media raise y'all kids. Y'all letting the schools develop their character. Y'all letting the friends and the other family. And a lot of people just discipline their kids. I just spoke on this. Some people are disciplinarians and not bonding parents. So because I actually bond with her and connect with her, she's going to trust me enough to allow me to influence her.
So
I should be her biggest influence.
So you feel like it's balanced.
Nothing that happens in the store with the non-toy section, no, that shouldn't affect you because mommy said this is a girl toy. You know what I mean? Like, just shit like that.
But I feel like you're right, but it doesn't always pan out like that. Because I feel like I've seen certain people in those structures, especially in that era of the rap or foundations at home, and certain people still go astray. So I think it's just essential.
But what I mean is the bonding.
No,
certain people have discipline, but their parents didn't bond with them. When I tell you my dad was my best friend.
Did your parents bond with you?
Yeah, I bonded with my parents. I bonded with my mom.
Emotionally?
Emotionally, I bonded with my mom. Okay. And at times when I got older, I bonded with my dad. But I would honestly say that like, it fucks with you. Even if I had a strong family. My brother, my sister, you go to college, you do this. Like it was a very clean structure, but I was in the streets. Like I was around like the hood shit. They would stay far away from it. And at times, my niggas was moving weight, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do this because I know that structure, and you're right. But at times I question, like, but my mom also kind of told me you shouldn't even be here. Like, cause if you're here, you could get caught up in it. So like, I know the balance of like, yo, I feel like my parents did it all right, but I still like was 5 or probably 4 decisions away from straying the other way, like real quick. And luckily, life gave me the choice to say no. Let me listen to what my parents had to say. And life didn't just make the choice for me. And I was in the cell like, damn, I should listen to my parents. And I feel like sometimes, like you know what I'm saying? Like life would just put you in certain situations. So I'm saying I've seen it all, but you're right. That foundation starts at home. I've worked with kids.
At home. It doesn't end at home, but it starts
at
there.
home.
Yeah.
It starts with home. It really does. And that goes with being there. Like, what are they learning? What are they tapping into? What's their emotional intelligence?
Exactly.
Like,
Intelligence.
you got to like your kid. And you talk about it all the time. Like,
You
people
got
really
to.
don't be liking their kids. Like, they be like.
People don't even know their kids.
And that's wild.
And it's crazy
People
to me
don't know
because
what emotional intelligence is.
I had parents who, for a long time, they were great with the discipline, but couldn't tell you my favorite show, my favorite this, my favorite that. So then my dad realized, like, yo, I don't even really know my daughter. That's when we became like super close, like literally take the veil down
How
and
old
talk
were you?
about everything. Unfortunately, I was about
What to say? Like, that's a good.
yeah. Unfortunately, like I was super close with my mom my whole life, but unfortunately, I was about 19.
Some people can't wait that long.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Like,
need that.
yeah,
We
like,
need that
I was
masculine.
because don't get me wrong, I was spiraling.
Yeah, we
No,
need that
you're saying-
masculine
But
influence.
when I'm
19,
talking
man.
about the foundation with your kids, I'm always talking about the thinking, not the behavior, right? Because my behavior, even if out of order,
It's
my
still-
my brain
you
was
saying?
never out of
Okay,
order. You know
I
what I
get what you're
mean?
saying. I
Like
get what you're saying.
even if I made a bad call, I
You
knew
still
better.
you knew better.
You know what I mean?
I
Like
get what you're saying. There's
it wasn't
certain
like
people
exactly
that have no
that
clue
don't
that
have
they
the
fuck-
moral compass.
Nah,
like
you're right.
even
Okay.
if I chose to fuck up,
I
I
completely agree
had
with you.
the ethics and the
morals to
morality to
know
know,
that,
better because
like,
of my dad and my
yeah,
mom.
100%.
So the actions may not always align,
But the thinking was
I
there.
need this up here to be on code. I need you to have the
Because eventually,
cognitive decision making to
you're
you know
gonna
what I mean?
tap in and like you're gonna know I'm
You're
not gonna
gonna-
do
you're
this.
gonna get back.
That's a
You're
fact.
gonna get
You're gonna
back.
get back. For
So-
people that can't get back, they're at where they're only going to be. That's scary.
What do y'all think about the energetic frequency though? So here's a theory. So we're gonna tie the relationships into like having a father and mother in the kid's life, right? So in my theory, when the masculine frequency is in harmony and the feminine frequency is in harmony, it provides a certain energetic harmony for the child to thrive and develop both sides of the brains at once because they get to learn from both sides. So that creates the whole picture. So I think that we have gratitude for like our parents and, you know, reconciling things, but I do think that we didn't develop our proper emotional development growing up because we didn't witness both of those frequencies in harmony at once. We don't even know what it feels like. What do y'all think about that?
I think what you said is just so important that so many of us had our mothers and fathers, but did we have them in harmony?
Yeah.
And
I'm
that's
about
a
to
deep
say,
thing because it's
that's-
like we
nah.
got a mom, we got a dad, but
but-
is it peace?
Even if they're under the same
That's-
household,
I
is it
don't know
peace?
what that's like. I
Yeah.
wonder like how
Nah.
would it have been if it was a family as opposed to just co-parenting or you know.
Even
But I
down
was-
to like how you handle sex, right?
Yeah,
like that
just-
that whole thing right
But
there is important.
I look at it more from a, like
harmonic, hormones.
forget just parents, like culture, like community. I don't see that amongst the community, let alone in the household. Like I'm not even like, and we could go culture and breaking it down, like and across the entire Black diaspora. I feel like I don't see that as much as it's important. Like I feel like a lot of love was based on survival, but then even when you tapped into survival, like to create kids to have sex is an actual spiritual event.
Yes, it is.
So when you created these children,
looked at
even
me
if
when you
it
said
wasn't
that?
those
No,
moments,
no, no. I looked at you, then I laughed
This
at
is
him
for you,
inside. I want y'all to hear clearly that Cito Blanco just said sex is a sacred spiritual event. So they be getting in truth in here. He just said that. So I'm
said
gonna hold
that.
you to that shit.
you gonna hold
I
me
don't
to
want to
it.
hear you. I don't want to hear no Hennessy dick stories. I don't want to hear you fucking nothing because you just said it's a sacred act. You
For the
hear
record, he said it, not me.
you heard
I
him,
said
right?
it was a sacred
He
act.
said it. I've
Hold on, but I still.
You don't
what
think
you
it's
mean?
sacred?
I'm still toxic with my sacredity, bro. But I'm saying, it is a sacred.
Nah, you said it. Don't back
Yeah, you
down.
said it.
He was in spirit. See, when he in spirit, he be backing down from his truth. Hold on real quick before you even get into it. So a book that I'm reading right now is called Ancient Egyptian Sacred Sexual Practices. And it blew
Ancient
my
Egyptian
mind,
sexual
right? Because so what they would do is they would form balance within themselves, and they would like master themselves, get into their diet, their yoga, their healing, and then they would form a union, and they would practice certain arts before they would have sex. So they would bond their breath, they would do certain things with fire. They had practices, and they were preparing themselves to like use their kundalini, their life force, to manifest in the world. And not only that, it gets as deep as preparing yourself for a whole year so that you can have a divine spirit come down, like aligning your frequencies for a year and not spilling, and then secreting your seed aligned with like the solstice to bring down a special baby. So like that's how deep they used to do in Egypt. So I'm like right now I'm like, nah, let's get this shit, like let's do this, like I'm preparing, like, you know, let's get your bodies right, let's get your mind right.
So
Think
it's
about
a clear
your
intention. It's
Yes.
a clear. Nah, that's real. That's real.
like we haven't even tapped
Into
yet.
that word. Into that. into
Look,
the.
Kara
Kara,
pussy
you
got wet.
alright?
She crying.
You
What's
alright?
going on, Kara? Talk
Crying
to
in the car?
Share your first
Man,
emotions.
listen.
Share what comes to you first.
Man, sex is fun. Like,
But it could be.
it's a
It could be
lot,
fun and healing.
but
though.
a year though.
It could be fun and healing.
No,
though.
but you're
It
still
can.
having sex for that year. But
Oh,
y'all-
okay.
Yeah, she like 365.
No.
Fuck out of here.
So
Like,
as you have sex, when a man doesn't spill, like you learn to channel your orgasms inwardly. So you build
heard
this
about that.
energy. So like you start having these orgasmic feelings, and a woman does too. You just start
Like
cycling it.
tantric.
But that's exactly what it is. But I just the words, the labels.
Mm-hmm.
It's really
You said
breath, it's
tantric?
intimacy.
What's tantric? What that mean?
What were we talking about?
Okay.
It's like sacred sexual practices that involve, building intimacy through eye contact, breath, oil, scents, like what we do. But
So
then
you can't come in that year.
if
you
if-
can't
if-
outward.
Hold on,
come.
she can, but you can't, right?
All right. So what your goal would be is to take in the energy of all 12 constellations. So as y'all channeling and tapping in, you carrying that energy. So when I finally do come during the solstice, I'm giving you that into your womb, into the baby. So like think about all the minerals, the energy, the love, the intention, the clarity, and now you bringing that life forth with that energy. Like, I don't know what my dad was doing when he had my mom. He was probably listening to the Nas album or something.
Hold on, so those was a part of the 12. I'm like, hold on, like I'm trying to process right now.
Yeah, because this is new to me too. I'm reading the book.
All right, I'm
you
like,
know?
yo, I'm like, hold on, I'm
Oh
like,
yeah, we gonna make this a
yeah,
book club. I want to read
I'm
that
like,
too.
I ain't get the rundown. I ain't know we had to read the 12. I ain't read the syllabus, but I'm saying like, no, that's real though. But
Yeah, but think about that intention that we
I
can
think
have
about
bringing
the
life.
intention my father was going through when he had me, because now when I speak to him about different stories, I start to realize and understand like, oh, me being the last one where you were at mentally, spiritually, and I feel like to a certain extent I see like where siblings kind of have their discrepancies with each other because we got different versions of our
Of that
parents,
parent.
not just as we grew up, but as when we were created. And I feel like my father was in a more freer, I'ma live life space than he was with my siblings. And when I lived that and I portrayed that, the same envy and sometimes uncomfortability they had with him in those actions come on to me, because I feel like they were more associated with my mother, and that's when they were falling apart. And I constantly feel that duality of like, what I genuinely want to do would be opposite to what my mother would do or my siblings would do in the situation. And I'm probably on his side when they were on hers. And that shit kind of fucks with me and my family at times. I've never said that wow, but yeah.
Nah, that's
This
good.
is the
Let it
clarity
out, man.
session right here. This is
Yeah,
a don't take
crystal
my truth
clarity.
personal. It's your truth. Nobody could take it personal,
Yeah.
right?
That's why they be hating on me when Christmas
You
comes.
see, and I'm glad you shared that, and I want to jump to you too, Kara. So this is what happens with healing, right? This is how deep healing gets. That's the multidimensional awareness. We talked about time not being a concept, right? So just the awareness of thinking about how you were conceived before you got here. Consciousness still existed before you got here, so you can kind of figure out your path and how you got here. So you can
That's
send
so
your
heavy.
awareness through time and space to heal right now. The same way something from the fucking past could be hurting you in the present moment, you can also heal things from the past and also gather things from the future too, right? Bust your head right now. Future affirmations. What does Kara look like in 20 years? And if you listen and think about what you would look like in 20 years, like what do you embody? What do you look like physically? What do you look like mentally, spiritually? How do you show up in the world? Cito, same thing for you. How long is your beard? How do you look physically?
I had this
How
conversation
much money
with my
you
sister.
got?
It was so crazy.
So think about where you would be in 20 years.
My favorite is you go first.
So me and my sister just had this conversation.
What's her name?
My sister Mesa.
Hey, Mesa. Hey, girl.
Yeah, you
Mesa,
know,
what up?
Shakira means grateful. Mesa means to walk proudly. Muslim name. So she was asking me like, I'm a super huge fan of Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
And one of my friends was saying like, why are you always trying to like follow in Tyler Perry footsteps? Why don't you go and try to be the Tyler Perry and like create your own studios and all that? I said, I don't want to do that. I want to connect with him and work with him. He's built something great for Black people. And she was like, but you don't know if that's what you're going to be doing in 20 years. In 20 years, you might want to have your own studio. I said, no, I know what I'm going to be doing in 20 years. In 20 years, I am going to have a grand space in every city, in every country across the world called the Healing Point. And the Healing Point, you're going to be able to come there and you're going to be able to meditate and you're going to be able to get your chakras aligned and you're going to be able to do yoga and Reiki and you're going to walk in the door and begin to feel back to what you were supposed to feel before this world
Are you
affected
going to be teaching in there?
No.
What you gonna be doing?
I'm going to be pulling in advisors from every city, right?
Okay.
So I would have advisors in my Chicago place, all of the spiritually aligned people coming to give healing to their communities. Because if we create these healing points, because it's not just a book, that's the title of my book, The Healing Point. If we create these healing points all over the world, then just imagine what the culture will look like. If people wouldn't have to say, like you said, we're trying to undo the whole social media.
Are you remembering your past?
I don't know. It could be.
Well, what do you think the temples were?
You might be
Very good
onto
point.
something. Because it's like if we're trying to undo this whole effect,
That's a good point.
this whole effect of social media and the cell phone culture, the only way to undo that is in-person connection.
Well, actually, we have to actually put those healing points at specific points on the earth. And if we align with the frequencies there, we change the frequency on the planet. So the temples were in specific places on the planet that have energy. The government actually has a lot of those places right now, but we'll talk about that later. But what else
I
do you
definitely
look
wanna
like
put them in the
physically?
hood.
What do you look like physically in 20 years?
Physically,
reading.
I'm probably gonna have long locks down to my ankles.
Natural?
All natural.
No baldy?
No
no
baldy.
baldy.
No baldy in 20 years?
I'm probably gonna start my locks at 40.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
I like
long
that.
locks
Down your back?
down my ankles, down to my ankles. And yeah, I'm just gonna be this woman with her enlightenment and life experiences. I'm probably not gonna be doing poetry anymore because I'm sure that by that age I will be working on writings to leave my kids.
You asked this Malachite for a husband. Are you gonna have a husband by then in 20 years?
I don't know. When you know the crazy thing? I don't like to speak things because they say your words become your truth, and you say it out loud, it becomes reality. But I don't see a husband in my future.
Okay.
I don't see it.
So why'd you ask this stone for one?
I was just playing.
But
It's just something fun to say. I know that. I don't know.
But is it fun, or do you really, really want one? Because I understand like the aspect of like.
And you're not getting away from your 20 years.
I know that.
Self.
I know that.
All
I'm gonna
but
process my shit.
Go ahead.
No, I'm processing. All I'm saying from that aspect, because how sure you were with the first two steps, and when that one came up, the uncertainty that came out in like your body language and voice.
You felt her heart, Cito?
Yeah, I felt that shit just like. What? I'm like, hold on, like.
She forgot that you breathe with her and you could feel her energy now, right? That's the way it works.
No.
Don't guard up.
No.
Don't guard up. Open
Put
your
your hands
arms.
down.
Open your arms. Don't try to block your heart. Don't try to block.
No, she try to like. Nah, but the feeling of that, like, I've seen you manifest so much. I know your determination.
You didn't like
I
that,
know
right?
how strong
She
you
was
are.
so pussy.
That
just now.
that was mad pussy, bro. Like for real. Like that was very just like you came through. It was like yo, kick in the door, give me the 4-4, and then it stopped and asked for like
pulled
tea,
out the 2-2.
the 2-2,
Then
and
put
then
it back in her purse.
Here's why I don't see a husband in my future.
do you see more kids in your future?
My life.
Okay, so why you don't see a husband in the future?
Let me just say, I may not see him in my immediate future. I
You
don't
said
know.
20 though. Venti is a.
All right, so here's the thing, right?
It's a fixed date.
This is the problem, right? Because I never date as a single person.
Okay.
I date as a single mom. So the trust that it takes to allow someone in your space enough to trust them to come around your child, I just don't see that happening. Because it's like, I could meet a man who is amazing for me, but what type of dad will you be to my child? And that's a lot of responsibility on a man.
Kara, you said this to me before. I just had a motherfucking eureka. And let me know what you feel and think about it. So it's almost like having an anxiety. I was just thinking about what would I do if I wanted, because I've been talking to women that have kids and stuff. And so what do you consider about, connecting with the man first, you and him, without the kid? Because the man may know you have a kid and is willing to get to know you, but wants to see and feel you out before he introduces his spirit and get connected to the kid. Because it's almost like anxiety, right? To be anticipating how he's going to react to your daughter before it happens. I know you have to consider it, but don't you still have to offer this emotional space for the man to make that decision too? And with that being said, you're not away from your 20 years. I think women have to offer men emotional consideration moving forward. I'm healed in my shit. So
pull
like,
that shit up. Say that one more time.
Women need to offer emotional space for men as well. Like it's something we need as well to even consider certain things and feel comfortable and safe. But men don't even know how to say that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what do you think about that? Like about connecting with a man first and allowing that to happen before the kid? And it's okay. This is a question.
Yeah, so it's like,
And I don't
it's
have
a lot of
kids.
fear around it.
Okay.
It's a lot of,
Like right here?
yeah,
Right.
because it's like, all right, so, you know, I made a post the other day where it was basically like, everything that your parents are trying to protect you from are things that you wish you were protected from when you was a child.
That was a great post, by the way.
And because I feel like I wasn't protected from a lot of things as a child, I'm super cautious to not let no men around her. I'm just always like, you know, I would rather just not take the chance.
I understand that.
You know what I mean? Because it's different when you have a daughter.
I understand
No.
that.
It's different when it's not like I have a son. It's not like I got a little boy that you would play basketball with. Like the way people prey on little girls, it's like, do I really want to be in love that bad to risk her safety? No.
Let's fast forward to the future. And thank you for sharing vulnerable places. I know where you're coming from, so thank you for sharing. But let's fast forward to the future. I trust you. But that means we love each other. Do you trust your discernment with people?
Not yet.
Okay, that's real.
honest.
That's real.
And the thing about it is, it's like the way I trust my friends. Like, I trust you with my life. I trust Cito with my life. I trust Marley. But I have yet to meet a man on a romantic sense that I can trust like y'all. And if you notice it, the way I'm so comfortable around y'all, I don't have any men around me that are not in a platonic capacity. Because the way men have had a lens on women that they don't view platonically as opposed to romantic, it's not the same man. So the way that, like Cito, the way that you would treat me and
It's
the pedestal
not how
that
I
you
would
would treat me and the
I'm not
protection
gonna
that you
treat
have for
women.
me
I know.
is not the same
I
you
know.
that you have lended to the women that you dated.
I know.
So it's like, as your friend, I can say you're amazing. You're an amazing uncle and this and that. But a woman that you date might have gotten a whole nother side of you. So it's like understanding that capacity to say,
you got that. That's real.
the men that I
That's
deal
how to
with
shut her up.
platonically, the love that we share be so much stronger than the romance.
That's a fact.
And romantically, I don't trust men. Platonically, she could have a bunch of uncles. Romantically, I don't know if I can trust men.
Let's take a deep breath in because Kira be humbling us with her truth. Yeah, I'm often humbled by the feminine expression when it gets into its truth. But
That's a fact. It's a beautiful feeling too.
this
because
is why
you-
also as emotionally for us, I just want to share, King, we have to always offer women eternal empathy because their experiences through this lifetime and beyond is
It's
far
not from
outweighs ours. So we
No,
always have to offer
100%.
them empathy.
in a comfortable space. Nah, that was.
So where your 20 years at?
Yeah. What you look like in 20 years?
I don't know, 20. I got 5 on it.
No.
Anybody can do 5.
I got
20 is
on
some
it.
real deep thinking.
Because you know we all reflections, right? He doing the same thing you did. He don't want to really manifest that 20 when he know he can. Because he really got to commit to it. All right, let's start. How long is your beard?
All right, disclaimer. Everything Kira just said was right. I'm a way better friend than I am a bae, and I'm working on that. I'm working on that for real.
We're going to talk about that next, too. What are you looking like? Let go of the mic, man. Loosen up.
20 years, I'll say physically 20 years, I want to be about 210 pounds, doing yoga every day.
Splits?
Huh?
Splits?
Nah, not splits. Me not. We could do this, the chaturangas. I ain't still the split. Chaturangas and all that, you know what I'm saying? I ain't,
Headstands?
Headstands, nah, I ain't, that was never my body, but but matter of fact, I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
And when I'm that age at 51, I want to be in a space where it's like I'm so in tune with what makes me aligned every single day with who I'm around, what I eat, and what my family looks like. That environment has to be selected and so important with who I choose to spend it with. So when I'm 51, I plan to be married. I plan to be at least 2 to 3 kids in. I don't know if the millionaire life is for me, but I know I'm be well off. I don't see myself probably having like 10 mil in the bank. but I could see me in a space where I have a lot of value. I own property. I'm a very important part of my community.
Maybe 20 million in Bitcoin.
Matter of fact, you're right. I don't feel like it's gonna be dollars, but that may be, and honestly, I don't. A part of me more and more feels like it's not gonna be in America. I don't feel like I'm gonna be here. I feel like I'm gonna come back.
Ghana, man, Nigeria.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm messing my art, but I think poetry won't be the platform.
That's crazy because I said that.
Yeah, I don't feel like poetry be the platform.
Poetry is just a start. We're gonna have a long lives, guys.
No, 100%. Poetry is just a start. It is, but I feel like from a production standpoint and visually, like
you just getting the game started. I like
Yeah.
y'all visuals, man. New books.
it's a like I could see me like having movies, like I've like directed and written movies, and that's a lane. And like, and I love my kids, like really, really, like love my kids.
You've been having I believe that what happens within a man's frequency, we start having this desire for family and kids because it's a part of our purpose. So like when you start seeing them Christmases and Instagram,
That shit start to bother
yeah,
you.
you see the stripes.
That's a fact.
The stripe matching outfits. You're like, damn, I want the.
Yeah, I want all that corny
want the
shit.
one
Like, give me
piece.
all that. Like, give me all of that. Like, you feel me? Like,
Man, that's man's purpose. Like to deny that from ourselves, it's part of it. And same thing within women. Like we can't deny that. You could love anybody. I have plenty of people that love everything, but ultimately to procreate with the counterpart and have family,
it's
and
important.
love,
And I think
that's the
also
Trinity.
a keen thing that's happened is like, and I feel like everybody relates to this, like seeing my parents deteriorate in front of me. I think has made me think about the future so much, like what they sacrificed for me to be here, and for what they're doing, like, and especially with my dad, like to see it, like for him to be such a my role model for such a long period of time, to see him start to like deteriorate makes me just feel like what keeps us going. Like what he did for me, I would have to do for somebody else, and I want to.
That's beautiful.
And I think that
that's a powerful frequency for a man, like the sacrifice for family.
For what that is, and part of me is like I have to like sacrifice some of my selfish desires and feelings that I have to put myself and my family in a position to keep it going and better.
Man, that's beautiful.
And that's where I'm at with it. So I see that in 20 years. So I think I'm thinking about 5 because I'm trying to line that up.
All right, that's dope. And back to the, I think that was a dope thing. I've been working on this myself, like how to offer friendship and platonic frequencies to women that I'm even courting, like because that's it's a frequency, you know. And I think like when a man has expectation of fuck, it changes the narrative.
And it's not just men. I've counseled a lot of women with this issue as well. Because I tell
Talk
women all the
about it.
time, when you view a man as your man, you stop treating him like your friend, right? You need to make sure that you're still being the conversationalist. You need to make sure that you're not always worried about your flowers and you're asking about his day, because romance makes us believe that the friendship no longer matters.
That's a fact.
So I tell people this all the time. If I sign a paper with you, by law and definition, I am your wife or your husband or whatever. If you come out of my body, by law and definition, I am your mother, your parent, or whatever. Friendship is the only title that ain't got no paperwork. It's just something that you got to work on earning, right? So friendship should be at the forefront of all our relationships. My daughter's my friend. My partner's going to be my friend. Like, we need to start being friends with people first so that we can love them in different ways after.
That's real.
I believe that. What's the mistakes we make that in the past? Like, what's some mistakes? We can all talk about mistakes we made where we should have done friendship first.
The mistake I made was the backseat of the Jeep, bro. Like,
sex too early.
Character choosing. I have chosen some people with characters that weren't aligned with what I'm trying to do, and then I sit there and complain about them when I've seen their character.
That's
like
trauma bonding.
You can stop that from the beginning if you just choose good people.
Which is a fact, 100%. Like like I'm saying, trauma bonding. Like being in spaces where it's just like we both know we've been through some shit and we about to do some nasty shit. We okay with it.
Yeah.
But we deep. That's real.
Oh, manipulation. I have tried to manipulate many of men to being in love with me when I wasn't in love with myself.
I'm happy you admitted that one. Women, please.
Oh, we manipulate with the love and the attention and the pussy and the cooking and the vibes and everything. Because it's like, oh, I don't want a relationship. Oh, me neither. Let's kick it. And then it's like, all right, game on, bitches.
You know what's funny about that?
I'm going to try to manipulate him into being my man now.
But you know what's so funny about that? Like, to that platonic, from a platonic to something more serious. I'll make a confession right now, and I'll probably get in trouble for it. I don't eat women's cooking. Now, I've eaten your cooking because you're my friend.
Right.
any woman I've ever been a part of or anything, I do not eat their cooking.
Why? Spells?
Yes, I feel like that part, like that whole switch of it's time for me to hook this nigga is like, oh no, not me.
That's a
like,
transfer of energy.
Like
Only if I trust them, I do. That's big in the restaurant.
Yeah, it's
That's
It
crazy.
is, right? Like,
transfer
can't-
of energy. It's intention.
yo,
It's-
yeah, 100%. The same way if your mom cooks something in a
Look at
bad
her,
mood,
she
it don't
like,
taste good.
Yo, you
Yeah,
a
oh yeah,
creep, yo.
uh-huh.
Kara is a
You be
creep,
know that you know what
yo.
be going on. When you be cooking the brunch, I be feeling that. I'm like, oh, she cooked this with love.
But you notice every time I cook, we not saying names on the podcast. What's his name? Don't never be there. I think that he be trying to avoid my cooking too, because it's like this bitch
Yo,
is
I
trying
ain't
to
gonna
catch
hold you.
me.
I'm
Damn.
serious.
You make me think about myself. I cook for everybody. Like I
No,
enjoy cooking.
I cook for women. I cook all the time.
And that's why we always
but I
want to
don't
come
be
to your house.
Yeah, but I don't be 100%. I think at one point in time, when we rejected, like, you need somebody to cook, clean. Like, when I was on somebody, I don't need y'all. Like, if we going, you gonna sit on the front stand, cool. But other
Yeah.
than that, and then she was just like, you need somebody to clean or cook. I said, I cook better than y'all anyway. Not saying all women, but in my household, like, I love my mom to death. My dad was a better cook. Like, OD. Like, my mom cooked for my brother and my sister. Probably why I feel like I'm more on his side of stuff. Like, yo, like, from I got to a certain age, like, they will have their own dinner and I would cook my own dinner. Because it's just like,
What?
yo, because she didn't cook for the preferences of what we liked. Honestly, I feel like she cooked for my brother, my middle brother. She cooked for him. And then everybody else, not jealous, it's just factuals.
I'm joking.
No lie, nah, hot key. Like, yo,
Every parent got a favorite child.
and it's wild because when
That's why I'm scared to
me
have
and my
more than
sister was
one.
talking to her about it, she like, oh, y'all all love the food when we was growing up. And me and my sister both looked at her like, no, we did not.
You know,
She
your
like, y'all
mom-
love roast chicken.
Moms
Something like
have
that.
a memory. Moms have a memory. Parents have a memory of how things happen,
And it's
it's
not,
never the truth.
it's never how it happened. I'm like, yo,
They
what?
I
need to
remember
believe
when
that,
I
though, to
broke
feel
down
good.
how
Yeah.
things happened to my parents in the real lens,
Bruh.
not their lens.
They
My
couldn't
dad
handle
cried
it.
so hard.
My dad cursed me out before he
He
cried.
was so apologetic because it was just like,
It was so
you
obvious once you
right.
break
Like,
it
how
down,
didn't
yeah.
I
see it that
see
way.
it, you
That's
know?
a fact.
That's important for growth. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you have at one point in time, you have to divulge all truths between your parents that
Like
you
I
never
said, at
said. If you
19.
have the opportunity to, if you don't have the opportunity to, if they pass, do it mentally,
yeah.
do it energetically. But we have to devolve that to heal the root chakra.
Which is important.
Yeah.
And if you have the pain of not wanting to have that conversation or to do it yet, I just advise you that something that stick with me, like, they're not always going to be here. And I think as that's happening now, I ask my parents and my loved ones that are elder all the questions. Like, I'll just sit there and be like, yo, what question do I want to know? Maybe I don't want to know today, but I may want to know 5 years from now. Let me get it now just in case, because we can't get that knowledge back. Because things like that you won't get on YouTube or you can pull it up because that's just life experiences. And you may need the love and for them to look you in the eye and tell you that so you can grow past certain things to evolve to your higher self. So that's just important.
And it's very important that when we're talking about healing things with our parents, to know that whatever you don't heal, you pass on to your children.
And I think that's
So if
scary.
you're going to come and say you want to start your own family, but you ain't healed from the things that happened in your first family growing up, it's just going to manifest into the new family you create. So I made it my business to do a lot of healing work and becoming a mom. We had to have plenty of sit downs till 6 a.m. because it's like, I don't want to be a mom. I want to be a good mom. I don't want her to have to heal from being raised by me.
That's part of the sacred rites, like healing your mental and emotional trauma within yourself before you create life, because you don't want to pass any of that on to the next generation. So it's like you're creating like a crystal clear child. you know?
Yes.
I'm not even going to piggyback on that. I feel like I was doing some of that too, but I feel like it's just really my attachment issues.
What you mean? What you talking about?
Like, I felt like to a certain extent, like, I was like, let me deal with certain things and live a life before I have a child. And I felt like a part of that was like a scapegoat from like not dealing and healing of just like, yo, taking that step. But I have a lot of trauma with the pregnancy things though. Like, I feel like I had a couple girls hit me with that they was pregnant and they wasn't. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. I've paid for a couple abortions that weren't real abortions. So I think that kind of like it bothered me, like, in a sense of like, but it also made me think like, damn, what type of God clown shit was that? But also kind of like, damn, what type of pain did I cause or was happening where she felt like that was a viable thing to do or to get out of me, and it makes me think of like that trauma, to be honest.
I'm gonna tell y'all some shit that has probably never been said on camera before, or never even be conceived. I had fucking abortion trauma as a man. Like from the abortions I had when I was young, I was doing some work with a partner who was pregnant, and I started feeling like all the pain from the thoughts that I didn't even feel when I was younger. Like when I was young and just wilding, I didn't really think about what I was doing or me like ending a life or what the girl was thinking about. And I started feeling all of that emotion at once. The girl that I got pregnant at that time, like 7 years ago, she just had a baby. So I also saw her consciousness. So I was going through pains in my physical body, and I was like, "Oh shit, niggas be holding on to this."
Wow, that's deep.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. That's some real shit.
Abortion trauma.
Because women, we process it right away.
Yeah,
but nah,
we
that's
don't gotta
real.
feel it. We don't
Y'all
got
don't gotta
nothing
feel
in
it,
our
right.
bodies. We can block that off.
I've had dreams.
Dreams.
Damn.
Seeing in my dreams.
You know why as Buck I know like pregnancy is so spiritual? Like there's times I've nutted in a girl and I knew that was the one. Like I said, that was it. And I knew the day. And then when she told no. And then when she told me she was pregnant, I was kind of like, I know, cause I felt it. Like yo, I was like no lies.
No,
it's like hitting a home run. That shit's like, doop. Yup, that's gone. Like that's the one.
but you know when it really hits you that you went through an abortion experience, man or woman, when you finally do have your first child.
It's gone.
And looking at my child when she was born, you're always gonna wonder, what if that other child was here? And it never goes away because it's like I love my child so much. So just imagine if I never did that.
Damn,
that
Kira.
spirit is still around.
Damn,
Kira,
Kira.
maybe it could though. Hold on, I'm gonna get. So I always like to share the deeper realms of it because yes,
Kira.
anything can heal. So my partner that did have the abortion, she impressed me. She said she did a mushroom experience by herself, and she said she talked to her baby that she had the abortion by. And she said that the baby told her that you didn't provide me with a space that was needed for me, and I wasn't ready to come in. And she said, it's okay, I'll be back. And I believe whatever she saw was her coming to acceptance. And after that, she started fixing her body to prepare herself for a baby in her mind. So she was like building a connection with what she passed on, but energetically, and accepting it as the lessons that needed to come in, like, oh, I'm a woman now. This is serious. Sex is important now. So like she took it as a lesson, and it doesn't bother her as much anymore. She doesn't think about it, but she's preparing now for life.
That's deep.
Right.
I think that's real.
Yeah, it's not the guilt, it's the wonder. You know what I mean? Because it's always like, I love, like I said, I love my child so much. So
what if it's the same spirit? Like, those concepts we haven't really,
No, that's a no, that's a fact. That's some real. What if it is?
What if it is?
I've seen babies come back, but it was different parents, so it was different. It was a whole different baby daddy.
I don't know. That shit is.
Yeah, life is and we expanding our awareness, man. Like we can really get into deeper realms of our healing and our mind. It's those are illusions too. All of the things, the trauma that we have, those are neurological connections, different illusions that we've held on to. And as we grow, we can go back and heal and grab things.
And chopper. I be feeling like some of the trauma is an illusion because sometimes I think the older I get or the more I heal, it feels like you should be able. I used to be able to grab the trauma anytime I needed it. Now I feel like that shit is going away and I'm reaching for it. And it's further and further away.
It's not even there.
And it's just kind of like, and I was just like, yo, but it makes me wonder, like, I know it happened, but I don't feel like it happened every day anymore.
All right, so we're going to close this out, right?
Yeah,
and this is what I'm going to give the audience and y'all. So now what we're going to do is think about something from 20 years back that you wish you could have done. So for me, what I started doing was I was meditating, and I had one of my I imagined my future self in front of me, and he was giving me Reiki, leading me, showing me what I need to be in 20 years, and I was integrating them now. And then I thought about myself 20 years from behind me, and he was holding my back, giving me support. And I imagined myself doing yoga and backflips and acrobatic stuff as a kid, making me more flexible. So as I was doing it, I was doing all types of movements that I would have done as a kid and set an intention to make myself more flexible. So like, what's something that you wish you could have done that you can integrate now as a kid that you didn't have? Because we can bring back all types of pieces into the mind.
So what do I wish I could like tell myself 10 years ago or bring back?
Think about 20 years ago. What's something you wish you would have did that you didn't do?
Discipline. I wish I was.
In which way?
Discipline in my lifestyle and how I
be more specific.
I wish I was more present in my actions of what I put in my body.
Okay.
More present in my actions of my abilities and more present in my actions of self-love.
Now feel it. What have you been eating and drinking instead of what you eat and drinking? What you would have been eating and drinking?
I'd have traded them chicken and broccolis for like I'd probably be on a salmon journey. I'd probably salmon and like vegetables, ito.
So you'd
like
be more healthier.
More healthy.
Yeah.
But because I was always I wasn't healthy, but I was always active. I would always be the big kid running around and doing all the things. You kept
playing basketball?
I'd have kept playing sports no matter what.
You'd have been active.
I'd have been active in the realm of what I eat.
Okay.
Because I was 1,000% active. Like I'm playing ball, playing bikes. I'm doing all the things everybody like, yo, you the big nigga that could do that. Like I was that guy. But to me, it's like my spirit isn't aligned with what I put in my body at times. Where it's like you're supposed to be a supreme athlete, but you choose this over this.
And food. All right, good. Yeah. And to just to give you something to close that out, and I'm coming to you next. So every time before you eat now, this is your choice right now. I want you to say nourishment and food. I want you to consider food as what you gave yourself your entire lifetime, and that may not be nourishment. So I want you to analyze those two perspectives before you think. Is this
food or is this nourishment?
Yeah, and those two perspectives right there either fuck with your conscience if you don't make the right choice, or allow you to make the right one. So So and what about you? 20 years.
I think I've done everything now because 20 years ago, my biggest thing was wishing that I would be more transparent. Okay. I was suffering in silence so much. I had childhood depression real bad.
Is there anything you would have done like acting, jogging, join a team? Like
I was on all
like
that.
You was doing all that.
I was in track.
So
I was
the transparency.
Yeah, because it was like other issues that nobody could even know about because I wouldn't talk about them. So now I am the way that they're like, why are you always telling everything? Because suppression leads to depression. Okay, I don't keep nothing in.
So you would have talked about some of the things.
Exactly.
So you would have communicated.
I would have been able to communicate and heal past them then instead of doing the work now.
You would have communicated. What would that have done to your environment and people around you?
It would have gotten me more help. It would have gotten me more help because when you try to lie and act like things are okay, then people lie right with you.
That's a fact.
Everybody can't see what you don't say. Yeah. Everybody can't see what you're trying to hide. So if I would have just been like, hey, this is what's happening, because I did have my cry for help moments, but whenever they would try to come, it was just always be me shutting down and acting like I'm just fine, So it's like in hindsight, looking back, all I had to do was say, I think I really need some help, And
people could have noticed you too.
Yeah.
All right, big frequencies at the end. Throw your hands up. The frequency is who. So we're going to go hoo, 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 and I'm going to hold it. It's going to be like whoo. All right, take a deep breath in. Woo.